Hey folks, John Cantera, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter here. We have another great show for you today, episode 52. We have our good friend Danielle Spinelli joining us today. We're going to be talking in depth about everything that MCP has been doing recently, including the implementation of Freight Validate, as well as the merger with Descartes. So lots of cool things. Those of you who watched the Highway show that we did a couple weeks ago, you're going to be interested in hearing everything Danielle has to say. So you can kind of compare Highway and MCP in what they do. So let's go ahead and get into it and get the show started.
Welcome to the Double Broker Bounty Hunters Stop the Scam. Here are your hosts, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter, John Cantera, and Dispatch Caitlin Price.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
I'm sorry, I love Queen. I mean, it's a great song, I think, to start off this show based on our topic. Before we dive too deep into it, we do want to give a shout out to our friends over at AccuBid Pro. If you are new to the industry, especially if you're new to the industry, you need to make sure that you know your costs first and foremost. And knowing those costs are the difference, frankly, between staying in business and, well, finding your way out. So do it right the first time and start with AccuBid Pro.
Do you know your cost per mile? Have you been hitting your profit margins? Do you struggle with bidding in a way that is both profitable and competitive? Would it be worth it to have all this information right in front of you? By calculating your cost per mile, AccuBid Pro helps you stay profitable in an industry still struggling to recover. In order to calculate your cost per mile, AccuBid Pro asks you questions about your business expenses. Our goal is to help you understand what you need to keep operating in order to keep up with the game and maintain your business. Enter your origin and destination, and we show you what you should bid based on your personal cost per mile in order to be profitable, even including a more detailed breakdown of each bid. Download the app today and get your 30-day free trial of AccuBid Pro, available on the App Store and Google Play. Bid smarter, bid faster, bid better with AccuBid Pro.
It is another Monday in the freight industry, and I got to tell you, Kate, it has been Monday through and through. You know, I've got 5 carriers that I'm currently actively dispatching right now, and 2 of them went offline today. One carrier, hotshot guy, he went offline because unfortunately his wife was involved in a minor accident back on Friday, and they got to deal with all the insurance stuff and all that. So he decided to shut down for the week. And then the real kicker was that one of my box truck guys, their truck got stolen out of their yard on Sunday morning.
God. Wow.
So not entirely sure what all happened yet. We're still waiting on the footage. Police reports have been filed. Reports have been filed with the insurance company. But apparently, this box truck had a couple pallets of packaging material valued at just under $5,000. So it wasn't exactly an expensive cargo, but around a little after midnight Sunday morning, someone got into the truck, according to the ELD data, moved the truck about a mile away, and then disconnected the ELD. From there, we have no idea what happened. So we don't know if it was an inside job, which is plausible, but because if you rip into some dash to hotwire a car or a truck, you'd figure they would have disconnected the ELD at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it plugs right into the computer diagnostic port. I mean, it's right there where all the other wires are. So you figure they would have done it there. So that tells me it may not have been an inside job because they didn't think about it or whatever, or they were too stupid to think about it, one or the other. But there are other box trucks on that yard. Why was this one truck targeted? And we're not sure why. So it's my understanding there were cameras around. So we're waiting for the footage. I think the police are analyzing that. Hopefully we'll find the truck, but it's not likely at this point.
Did any of the other box trucks have a higher value load? Because maybe they just grabbed the wrong one.
I don't know. I don't know
That's
anything
pretty
about the
low.
other box trucks. They're different carriers. But I mean, from what I am told, there were no signs of damage or like broken glass or anything around. So we don't know if it was broken into, was the glass shattered into the truck and didn't get any on the outside. I don't know. There's so many questions. But we had to get a hold of the broker first thing this morning, tell them their load is gone, and we provided all the necessary information as quickly as we possibly could.
Oh, it was loaded? I didn't
Yeah,
catch that.
we had 2 pallets of packing material on there, totaling just under $5,000.
Hey, at least it was only $5,000.
Yes,
Right.
it wasn't severe, but still it's an issue, and it's going to be a claim. You got a truck that's 6 years old. So that's a big dollar value that has to come back. Thankfully, we double checked all the insurance. The right driver was assigned to the truck, the right location for parking, all that stuff matched what it was supposed to be. So there shouldn't be any issue with the insurance. It was just a heck of a way to wake up this morning. My owner panicking, calling me saying, the truck's gone, the truck's gone. What do you mean the truck's gone? That was not fun. So I've had it's been a Monday. It has been a Monday. Kate, how the heck has your day been?
Pretty boring. I actually have one guy who's out still on vacation, another guy who is home. He's coming back out on Wednesday. I think Wednesday. Yeah. And then one guy who's out running who I already had booked. So I'm pretty simple. I've been able to just kind of sit around and get this stuff going and ready. So
what do you mean this stuff? Care to elaborate on that?
So
Heartland Freight Group, okay.
We kind of took everything that we've learned over the last 3 years and what we've seen in other lease on contracts and how we've seen other people be treated or paid or not paid. We really just kind of took everything that we learned and we're like, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do it right. And we're going to give people a place where they can feel like they're a part of something more than just, oh, this is a person that I talk to when I'm working. Like it's all a partnership. We aren't successful if you're not successful and vice versa. So
you mean the way it should be.
Yeah. So
the way it was always designed to be.
Yeah. So we tried to be very fair with our rates and what we charge to lease on and what we cover or don't cover or whatever. We're not trying to make people go broke and we're not trying to just make a ton of money off a couple people either. So we just tried to do something that seemed fair and morally right in a world where that's hard to find.
I love it. That's why, and you can't be a part of this show and be a scammer because we lose all credibility. And I did not work for over a year in doing this. Kate and I both. We have not done that to come off looking like scammers. No way.
Right. Bless you.
Oh, thank you. I didn't want to sneeze into the mic. That's just bad juju. So I had to mute it real quick.
You caught it.
Live shows, gotta love it.
I know.
Gotta love live shows. Okay. So quick programming note. Next week, we are probably going to have some guest hosts for our show. I have a personal matter that I'll be attending to next week. Kate is on vacation next week also. So keep your eyes open to our social media and we'll let you know if there's going to be a show or not. We hope to do a show. We're trying to work that out now, but it's something that is coming up. One other things that I want to make sure people are aware of, make sure you take down this hashtag right here, hashtag Freight Fraud Task Force. This is something that is growing by leaps and bounds every day. And hopefully we will have more to be able to share as to what that is about in the next couple of weeks. But this is a group of very dedicated professionals who are doing everything they can in an industry where, let's face it, the Fed is letting us down. And so we're trying to do what we can to help compensate. So take that for what it's worth. Check out that hashtag, and you'll be able to catch all about it. I think the majority of the information is available on LinkedIn. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, check that out. In the meantime, Danielle, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you being out here, and it is so good to see you here in the new year. You have been with us a few times now, and you've only been able to touch on a few of the things that MCP has been up to lately. And there's been a lot of changes there at MCP. And I think we have shared with you before, Kate and I both, as dispatchers, we love MCP. We love it.
The easiest thing ever. Easiest thing ever.
Absolutely. You guys do so much work on the front end that makes it so much easier for carriers and dispatchers like us to go through and process a setup to make it easy there after everything's said and done. Because, man, it takes me, what, 30 seconds to get through all the clicks? Maybe.
Good.
The last time I timed it, I think I did it at 27 seconds.
That's awesome. There's people out there faster than you, by the way. So get your speed down.
I am sure.
All right, slow fingers.
We need to have make it an Olympic event. We need to get like 40 dispatchers out there, and all of us start a package at the same time. See who gets done first.
That's funny.
We'll do stop scam medals.
That'd be perfect. Well, I'm going to Matt's. That's actually a good idea. I could do that at Matt's. Have my test account run something.
Yeah, I'll be at Matt's, so I'll officiate that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And you heard that here. We're going to do this. Go to the Freight Ninja booth at Matt's. We'll pick a day to do this. We'll advertise this, and we will do a race to do setup. So bring your laptop with you when you do it.
That'd be fun. That'd be. And you can do it from your phone too. Do it from your phone. Do it from whatever.
Oh, even better. We'll do it from phones. That sounds like fun. Oh, okay, cool. All right. So
no, I'm glad you said that though, because honestly, like the whole reason why I'm going to Matt's, I mean, our customers, like my paying customers, are not carriers, but we really care about the carrier experience, and that's with MyCarrierPortal and with MacroPoint. We're tied in together now. So that's the whole reason why I'm going, is to get carrier feedback. We really care about what the carriers think. So I'm glad you brought that up, that, on the carrier side, dispatcher side, it's an easy process. So yay.
Well, let's back up and talk a little about evolution, because MCP has been through a huge evolution over the last 6 months, especially.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the evolution.
Yeah. So, and really I'll break it down to like a little over a year ago. I mean, we were MyCarrier packets for 11 years, I think. No advertising, just all word of mouth. That's the only way that we grew. And then sort of advertising, rebranded to MyCarrierPortal, brought on like me as a secondary sales rep. There's only one sales rep the whole time, and the owner. So really grew from there. And then
I did not realize your sales team was that small.
I know. We kill it, but yeah, I mean, we have over 3,000 customers as of September. I know we're higher than that now, but as of the acquisition, we had about 3,000 customers. And then, yeah, like you said, this whole year has just been features after features after features of new stuff coming out, new integrations, acquisition. So this whole year has been wild. I mean, we have to keep up with the scamsters and fraudsters out there. So there's a lot of development. My poor developers do not sleep. So yeah, I mean, I'm like, hey, what about this? Let's whip this up. And how quick can you do it? And they're like, well, I guess I won't sleep for a week, but they get it done. So they're pretty awesome. Yeah.
I am so glad I'm not in IT. That's one thing I don't think I can handle.
Yeah. And especially me being like, hey, I have a webinar coming up and you're going to have to get this done. Poor guys. But they kill it. They do a great job.
Okay. So how did all this come about? I mean, we get rebranding. What happened?
Next, we came out with the VIN verification, which to me is the best way to know exactly who you're dealing with, and I'll break that down. So basically, our VIN verification is where, kind of like, this guy's got a red flag, or I've never worked with this guy. How do I know who I'm working with? Obviously, we're not sitting there in the truck with somebody. We don't know who we're dealing with. So the best way to do that we found is with our VIN verification. How it works is once you get the driver's phone number, you send a text to the driver through MCP on our VIN verification site. Send a text out to him. He gets a text basically saying, hey, send in a picture of your truck showing your VIN number. It does have to be a live photo. That picture gets ran through our database to validate that VIN, say if it does it belong to this carrier, does it belong to that carrier. And then from there, we also capture their location. So as far as like the broker standpoint, let's say you're like, hey, my guy's empty in Chicago. Well, yes, maybe your truck belongs to that carrier based on that VIN verification, but maybe that truck is in Douglasville, Georgia. Well, either I got wrong driver info or you're trying to pull one on me. You know what I mean? So that happens. But then even just every day in and out, owner operators, that's all the time you hear about those. Well, I still need a lease agreement to tie that truck to my contract if I do have some sort of claim. Like when I was a broker, I had a load shift, and it was an owner operator. They were, after the fact, I found out it was an owner operator. They would not give me a lease agreement. I had to sue them for the lease agreement. Once I got the lease agreement, then I had to go through the whole claim process, and then I had to sue them for the claim. I mean, it was a nightmare. Where if I would have known ahead of time before the load shifted, hey, I need this information to go forward, I at least would have had one lawsuit before, like one step out of court, because I would have had the right information. So, even though it does prevent the double brokering and the scam stuff like that, it also does help just the day in, day out of logistics. So
it's interesting you mentioned that, because I had two carriers, actually two owner operators, reach out to me just last week, and it involved our good friends in Texas that we awarded our annual Bad Actor of the Year award to, and we're not going to say their name here, but one of the things that I want to make very clear for owner operators out there. First and foremost, that contract is supposed to be in your truck by regulation. Yep. So a copy of that contract, you need to have that available for all of your drivers instantly. You all should have a DOT binder in the truck. It should be in that binder. Another thing you should have in there is a COI. And that COI should have the VIN number for that truck on it.
Yep.
Now, if you have both of those things, I would recommend, whether you trust your carrier or not, once a week, call the insurance company and see if you can get a COI for that VIN number. Just check. Yep. Make sure they're not shortchanging you, because the last thing you want to do is get into a minor accident, then call the insurance company and find out your truck wasn't covered. And in which case you are completely screwed. We see insurance fraud like this all the time.
Right.
Protect yourselves, carriers. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're exactly right. And I don't think a lot of times it's the driver's fault. A lot of times it's unfortunately that carrier who is, like I had a load stolen from me back when I was a broker. The driver had zero idea. I mean, they thought everything was legit. They're like, it did seem weird. I thought it was a blind shipment. It did seem weird, but my dispatcher acted like everything was fine. And then really it was the dispatcher on it. So a lot of times I really don't think it's the drivers. Of course, there are bad guys out there, but I think a lot of times it's these dispatchers, and they're just jumping from MC to MC, buying MCs, trying to rowdy up new owner operators or carriers and drivers. But yeah, so good.
No offense taken, Danielle. No offense taken. Being a dispatcher.
No, because you're doing it right. It's if you're doing it right, and then, like we talked about earlier, like take a look at this MC and what does this MC look like? Maybe they're on MCP, maybe there's some review marks that are on there, but that does not mean a yes or no. We do have yes or no's based on really bad things. Freight validate sees you're validating the law, or invalid of the law. No, I don't even know what I'm talking about. If you're violating the law, then you are a red X. You're a no. And there's other things like if your DOT's active, blah, blah, that type of stuff. But really, a lot of it's it's a review. It's, hey, have a conversation with these people, pick up the phone, ask questions, do our VIN verification. There are things in place because it's not a green and red thing in logistics. Things happen all the time. That is logistics.
Yeah, you mentioned Freight Validate, and Freight Validate was a wonderful addition to
Yes.
the suite of offerings that MCP has. And for
Yep.
those who are not familiar with Freight Validate, it unlike any of the other systems out there, it focuses on very specific and concrete data. This is yes or no data. It's no assumptions, no predictive algorithms. This is cold hard facts. That does the carrier have an actual place of business that's not a PO box or etc.
Right.
That is very cut and dry. That is very red and green, and that's one of the great things, great additions that I've seen with MCP, because it has actually saved some of the carriers that I represent. Because they do everything right. And then there was questions by a couple of brokers. Hey, wait a minute. Why does this exist? Why does that exist? But that extra step with MCP and Freight Validate took the cake for us.
I'm glad you brought that up. So our full integration went live. I think it was July 20th or something like that, in the 20th range. And I'm sure you heard about the 4th of July scams that happened it was Agility Express. And it was mainly like Landstar. I think that was hit. There was over 40 loads that were held hostage. They were demanding like $40,000 a load. All this stuff happened. I have not heard of our customers being hit. Hopefully I have not heard anything. But however, at the time on 4th of July, whenever you looked at MCP, there were red flags, but it was a review. You can still technically set up these people. And with having Freight Validate, if that would have been there at that time, because they were associated with a bunch of different DOT numbers and not disclosing that info with FMCSA, that they would have had a red X that would have prevented any customers of ours to even work with them because of the way that they violated the law by not providing the correct information. So with Freight Validate, it's been huge. I mean, they're checking, does the name on the business license actually name with a register, or is the name that they register with FMCSA match the name on the business license, kind of tracing back the money, because that's how you get a bank account. Is it where they're using a virtual address, like you said? Is it where they're matched up with a bunch of different DOTs, not disclosing it, like that Agility Express? Because really, I mean, Dale was able to find a whole web. I think it was over 200 people associated with that MC based on the business license information, and gave that information to the FBI. The FBI found that those loads, and those were returned. I mean, that doesn't happen in freight. So no, Freight Validate has been huge, and it's really made, if you're lying to the government, you're going to lie to the average Joe, So it's been a huge addition to MyCarrierPortal. So very thankful for that integration. Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen MCP evolve and have not really, until the last 6 months, until getting to know you actually, understood how that all started to come to be. Because, as a dispatcher or even as a carrier, all you see is you get that link and you click on the link and you fill out the information and you flip over to the contract and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And no one ever thinks that much more about it, and it's like, oh, all it does is just fill out a contract. I don't think carriers and dispatchers know what all is actually behind those scenes. Right. What can you share about what goes on behind the scenes? I mean, of course, I don't want you to give away any classified information.
No,
what can you tell us?
Yeah, there's a lot of different parameters that you can set up in place. I mean, I can even share my screen and show you. It's where we're checking, and not only just regular FMCSA data, which honestly everyone out there is, all the different platforms. I'll check in FMCSA data. I'll check the whole all the new things. What stands us apart though is A, we have Freight Validate now, which is huge. B, we have our network of customers talking to each other with those reports, similar to Carrier 411's freight guards, but the carrier is actually able to dispute them. I know you've dealt with that before with your carriers having to put disputes in. I mean, we really care about the carrier. We want ours to be as accurate as possible. Like, I don't want a he said, she said Yelp review. I don't want that. I know as a broker, whenever I was looking at stuff like that and you'd read something, you're like, this doesn't even make sense. I'll go ahead and set them up. Why even have that data in there if it's not going to help you? So that right there, and then what's coming forward too with MyCarrierPortal, with the acquisition of Descartes taking or acquiring us. Now we're going to be pulling in MacroPoint data, which is going to be, to me, just huge. You'll get like a full 360 view on that carrier. So we'll have we already have the freight validate. Hey, how do they register with FMCSA? MyCarrierPortal showing how they've been operating since they've been in service. And then MacroPoint would be like, hey, how do they actually handle your load whenever they take that to the delivery? So you'll be able to see more of what's your tracking percentage like. So if there's a carrier that hops on tracking for 1 second, gets a pickup number, drops off, you never hear from them again, that type of thing will reflect in your carrier score. So if you're a good driver, you follow the rules, you do everything you're supposed to be doing, I mean, you're going to look great on there, and it's going to help you get how
See, I'm loving it. So how did Descartes actually take interest in MCP? Where did that marriage come from?
Good question. So they have within MacroPoint, they have something called Fraud Guard. It is where they're able to detect spoof data with, like, if they're using the app and they have like a different app on their phone that's spoofing data, they're able to detect that. And they have like geofences around the load from A to B, where if it's starting to deviate, it notifies right away, hey, something's going on here, kind of preventing a theft from happening before it goes way out of whack. There's like other ELD data. There's a bunch of things that they check, but basically the biggest thing with Fraud Guard is it only does the tracking side, and they have enough customers and large customers that were like, hey, we need upfront information too. How is FMCSA registered? You guys don't have that stuff in here. And rather than develop it themselves, they're definitely a company of acquiring. So they looked into the different platforms out there and then decided on MyCarrierPortal. So I think our values aligned the most, especially with our values on how we care about carriers, because MacroPoint's like that too. And what was interesting is whenever we first got acquired, I met with Dan Cericci, the GM over our little pillar, who created MacroPoint. And that was the first thing he said. He's like, you actually care about what carriers think, and so do I. And that's rare. Not a lot of the other companies are not like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think MacroPoint, of all the tracking that I've seen, MacroPoint is the most prevalent among at least carriers I represent.
Yeah.
They're the ones I usually see. So,
Yeah.
MCP overall, and when you talk about market share of the brokers, it wasn't that big. It seemed like RMIS was king, and then it just completely flipped the script when Descartes came into this, because they had a huge market saturation with MacroPoint. And are you seeing that saturation then filter into MCP as well?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Especially with having even like a new broker, for instance, because we have the TMS with Aljax, we have MacroPoint, and then MCP. I mean, it's a one-stop shop. Like, all you need from there is a load board. Then you have your whole tech stack that you have to get started. So it's.
And when are you launching your load board?
I know. I hope that doesn't happen. That's a mess. No, but we do have a capacity tool, which is, we're really we want carrier relationships. So there is a capacity tool to help source carriers, but hopefully not a load board. We'll see. Like I said, they acquire a lot, so that may be on their list.
Oh, I would avoid load boards.
Right? I agree.
I have seen. Yeah, I use DAT a lot, and I know there are a lot of people out there who have a lot of gripes with DAT. But one of the things I can tell you, it's the largest that's out there. Almost every broker posts stuff out there. So if there's stuff out there on the spot market, in most cases you'll find it on DAT and almost nowhere else. Truck stop's really good, especially if you have hot shots or flatbeds. But everyone else, DAT is king. And yes, there is a lot of bad information out there. I'm not going to contest that. But if you have some experience and you have some brains, you can filter past all that very quickly and avoid the scammers that are out there. Like, if a load looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. I've seen, it's at least twice a day, we see a major broker, a big name broker, being impersonated on DAT.
Oh, all the time.
Armstrong got hit last week. Who did you see last week, Kate? Do you remember? Echo Global got hit last week.
I don't know. I see all kinds of them all the time.
Well, you know what's crazy too is even like large carriers are getting hit too. So vice versa, it's the same thing. Like with on the broker side, and something that we have too. We've always had, but we now display it differently where it makes more sense because before it was just there and nobody really knew what it was. But now we have carrier or user verification. So if you're set up with a huge company, I don't know, let's say Echo. Well, I'll use like Manus Express. Those were like my go-to guys back in the day. But Manus Express, for instance, they have 200 and something trucks. Hey, most people are set up with these guys already. So if I'm a scamster and I just leave the S off of Manus and I just have Mana Express, that one letter may trick somebody. So we have it where you can just paste the email in there and it will check, is this verified or not? Is this actually with this guy? And if it's not already verified, then we handle that verification. So you know who you're working with, not only on the contract basis, but on a rate sheet basis. Like I need to know who I'm sending a rate sheet to because I'm already set up with these guys. So that's something that's huge too, because that's one of the biggest things. These big carriers, if it's a big carrier in there, they're getting hit, just like brokers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Carriers and brokers are equally getting pounded here.
Yep.
And we're even seeing it with small carriers too. Small carriers, intra-state carriers. I've seen this a lot too. Intra-state carriers are being impersonated to book loads, which happen to be interstate loads, and then brokers don't catch it.
Right.
And
Not touch that.
And they don't have a source. Some of them, I swear, they just call. Like you'd be surprised. There's some big people out there that I'm trying to get for customers that I'm like, how do you guys have nothing? You have nothing. You're not checking anything. You're just, how have you not had every load stolen? It blows my mind. So some people have no services out there, and that's like for me. Like of course I'm a huge MyCarrierPortal fan. Like I've used it, love it, but have something, please, for the love of God, have something.
Well, a good friend of mine, Jeff Dickinson, has been in this business for over 40 years, and he's never once had a load stolen or double brokered. Not once.
But he does his due diligence, though. He checks stuff.
But that's the key. That's the key.
Yeah.
Due diligence. And I think in this technological age, we've gotten to the point where we allow the tech to do the work for us, and we don't try to interfere and verify or anything like that. What was it? Reagan who said, "Trust but verify," and that is really the name of the game. And I have
totally agree.
I don't know how many times I get people. There may be people who are watching right now that after I booked a load with somebody in their company, I've called their corporate office to verify the load.
Yep, and you should. Just like brokers should do carriers. Call and verify this is the driver.
Absolutely. Yeah. And 99.99% of the time, everything's flush. But that one time is all it takes to make all that work worthwhile. It's important. You just have to do it. The tech is great. The tech is amazing. The tech saves a lot of time.
I was going to say
speed. You have to verify.
Yeah, I agree. Which is why we have the reviews, and it's not a yes or no, because it does not always mean yes or no. Like for instance, whenever there was no inspections, that was like the big hot topic. They have no inspections, they're a bad guy. No, that just means DOT did not see anything wrong with them whenever they drove by 50 times. Their truck looked fine, so they didn't pull them over and do an inspection. That does not mean they're a bad guy. They probably have a better truck than the guy who does have a lot of inspections. But that is a red flag. It could be that they actually don't have any trucks. So what do we do from there? We vet further, do that VIN verification, verify they actually have a truck on their fleet, do those extra step of due diligence and talk to the carrier. I mean, that's part of our whole training process with MCP, which is another thing that we developed this past year. Our whole training process is based on, you see this red flag, you ask these questions. You see this red flag, you call this, you do that. That's our whole process with our new training program. So if you've been a long time MCP customer, hop back on some training, get some new updates that we have, because there's a lot that's in there now that either they've been in there for a long time but nobody knew about, or new stuff that's in there. So
I'm just blown away by some of the changes that we've seen out of MCP. Now, I had no idea before we ever met you how deep MCP goes, and you're just blowing my mind with some of the stuff. You guys actually have checklists available for your clients. You see these are the steps you should take to verify or kill it.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. I'm just so glad that you do that, because what I hear from others is others just present the data and expect you to know what to do with it.
Exactly. And especially if you're a brand new broker or you have a brand new carrier rep on the floor, without having that experience, years of experience, how are you supposed to know? You're going to get burned. That's how you learn. And you don't want to be the one to get burned and then you lose your job and whatever. You need some sort of guideline to help you out. So that we've actually developed that this past year with a group of our customers. I went off personal experience to develop it, and then had a group of our customers kind of review, hey, what do you guys do differently? And have this whole list. So that's part of our training. I'm super proud of that, because I think it's made a big difference with especially for carriers. I mean, they're like the brokers that follow that they've said that their network of carriers have grown because they're able to work with more people that do have a little bit of red flags. Really not even red flags. We'll say medium flags. Because it's not like they're bad guys. They're just needed to be talked to and talked through. Hey, you have some, safety violations. What's going on here? What's happening with this? Why is there no inspections? Oh, okay. Well, let's do this. I mean, there's a bunch of different fields that come into play. This is not just a black and white world. So,
when all of the double brokering really started getting going 3-4 years ago, we saw the advent of the compliance group. And compliance groups, instead of being industry professionals staffing that, going off of their experience, gut instinct, et cetera, they were staffing that with risk managers and attorneys.
I was just going to say that.
Really started throwing all these different roadblocks out there that started stymieing all these carriers, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. You mentioned the inspection issue. That started on social media and blew up from there. I'm glad that's starting to go away. And for the record, for those of you who don't know, DOT doesn't allow for voluntary inspections anymore, and they haven't since June of last year. There's a big directive went out to all the way stations and state highway patrols telling them they can't do that anymore. So that's why if you're struggling to get an inspection, you're still struggling to get an inspection. So the only way to get an inspection for you brokers out there who still believe in this particular thing, the only way to get an inspection is you're observed doing something unsafe. I don't know about you, but I don't think the right idea to get an inspection is to drive by highway patrol, flip them off, and bump into their cruiser as you pass by. Okay?
Right.
I think that's bad juju. So, but the only way to do it, they see you in a camera approaching the way station, they may pull you in at that point, but you're doing something wrong to get selected. And that's what I try to warn brokers about, because every time I hear this about, oh, you don't have any inspections, and they hang up on me. What I try to warn these brokers is, guys, look, in 6 months, the only people who have inspections are the people who are unsafe. You're dramatically reducing your available pool of good drivers.
Exactly.
Congratulations. Good luck, folks.
No, it is a red flag or a medium flag anyways, where it's like, I do need to talk to these guys further, because there are people out there that have, the bad guys have, MCs have 0 inspections, and they also have 0 trucks. Like they rented a truck from Penske, try to get an inspection through a weight station or whatever. But so there are those, but that's why there's extra steps that you have in place. That's why we have like the VIN verification, verify exactly who you're working with that live photo, know where they're standing at when they're taking that pictures. I mean, I've seen it where they're in a dock, the exact dock that they're in. You could see where they're at when they're taking that picture. And then you know that this truck does belong to that carrier. This is where he's at. He's telling the truth. Let's go. Like, let's party. So
I love it. I love that tech exists to be able to do that. And I want to encourage drivers, if you're watching, when brokers are asking for that picture, please take it. Okay, I have seen so many people say, you know what, I'm tired of jumping through these hoops and all that. Guys, there's a reason for it. Just let's go ahead, knuckle down and do it, and then we all can move on about our day.
If a broker's vetting you, right, and if a broker's vetting you, that means that they're probably more than likely legit, because it's almost like you're vetting them at the same time.
Well, you should.
You should. Totally should. What's funny is, sorry to interrupt, Ken Riddle from FMCSA, whenever we were at the Broker Care Summit, he brought up, FMCSA did a bad job at trying to fix the issue where FMCSA information was getting changed, and then we required driver's license to be sent in. Well, whenever that happened, then all the scamster brokers out there were then starting to ask drivers, hey, in order to verify you, I need you to send a picture of your driver's license. And then they were using that same driver's license and posing as that dispatcher. So I think, those type of things too, like having a service, like for instance, like MCP, where this is a service that's going directly through something. It's not just them collecting it and saving it for the next, scamster load they're going to do. Because we vet our customers too. So I think that's another thing. Like, yes, provide stuff information out there, but also be careful how you're providing it. Almost that same vet your broker, vet your carrier.
So you guys actually vet your customers as well to make sure you're not trying to introduce potentially harmful information to a scamming entity.
And we actually we monitor the first 30, I think it's 30 or 60 days or something of who they onboard. And if it seems like a bunch of suspicious activity, we start having conversations. So even if they are a legitimate thing, but then they're going rogue, then we're like, what's happening here? So we also have different checks in place for existing customers where if things are looking array that we start having that conversation. Because we want our platform to be filled with the good guys.
Well, you were talking before about the reports that you do. They're similar to Carrier 411's freight cards. Now, I go a lot into heck. I'm working 3 freight card cases right now, and they're always challenging as heck because as those of you who are familiar, Carrier 411 gives you 500 characters to plead your case as to what's going on, and when they do their upcoming update, I don't know when the heck that's going to be yet. When they do that, they're going to allow you to add a 60-second video to your defense. What good that's going to do, I don't know.
Oh, really?
No, I'm already looking forward to this. I'm willing to bet there's going to be a subreddit out there of these defense videos, and brokers are just going to have a heyday with these things.
I was going to say, I can imagine the YouTube videos and TikTok videos of taking some of these and clipping them into things. They'll be a whole new TikTok viral song or something.
Oh, I'm waiting for it. Yeah, the hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids. Pick your favorite meme for the last couple of years.
That's funny.
I think it's going to be a great source of content for people who do podcasts like me, but it's going to be it could be embarrassing for carriers. But back to the original topic, how you guys handle that when it comes to dealing with disputes. What's that process look like?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I actually had somebody write me today about blocks too. I can go over that as well. So the incident reports, how that initially works is carrier has to, in order to respond, they have to log in, 2-factor authentication, just like they do a packet. So log in, fill out their response. That way you basically know whatever you're reading is actually from that carrier. They've been verified. From there, if there's still a dispute where they're like, hey, this is 100% wrong, get this off of my name, all that type of stuff, we do have a dispute email. It's disputes@mycarrierportal.com. It is a lengthy process, not going to lie. We are going to believe our customers first and foremost, but both sides can present documentation. Hey, this is why this is wrong. I'm providing everything else out there. And I've seen several be taken down, and we have the conversations with our customers too. If it's something where they're blatantly trying to ruin someone's name, hey, this is not the type of platform for that. This will get pulled down. We have those uncomfortable conversations. It's definitely happened a lot less now that we've been going through that, but that's kind of how that's handled. And then with the blocks, now blocks are they're anonymous, and I'm glad that they're like that. Some people don't like that. Me as a broker, whenever I was a broker, if it was where, somebody, I don't know, was terrible at communicating, or they were really late, or they were just whatever, they were bad enough to where I would literally never use them again if this was my last truck during produce season. But they're not bad enough to put a report in. I would put a block on them. Hey, I'm never using them. You guys anybody else can use them. That's fine. I just had a bad experience. And that's kind of the block feature. At least that's how I view it. So the blocking is completely anonymous. We do not share that information out to who has them blocked. If you are disputing your blocks, we do send out a message to everyone who does have you blocked saying, hey, carrier, so and so is saying that you have them blocked. Would like for you to review that and see if that still needs to be the case, or if they're able to have a conversation with you to get that removed. That's kind of all the involvement that we have in it, but at least it's something. So
if a carrier hears from a broker that they have a block,
mhm.
Brokers typically don't share any information
Right.
with the carriers. How do they go about getting the information so that they can try to figure out what it is they even need to dispute? They may not know why they have.
Yeah, so they can reach out to the help desk here. So it's they just updated our email address. It's mcp-help@descartes.com. So they can reach out saying, "Hey, I've been blocked because of whatever," or call us, give us a call, and they'll say, I mean, we're honestly, if it's a really bad guy, we're not going to give out everything. But if it's like, "Hey, we show this, would you like us to do whatever for it?" Or if it's like, "Hey, your safety rating looks like this." I mean, sometimes people just, for whatever reason, don't know. I don't know how you know your own safety rating, but for some reason they don't know. But we're definitely more than welcome to share as much information without, giving the scamsters what they want to hear. So if that helps.
Well, the fact that you're even willing to talk to a carrier is already head and shoulders above Carrier 411. So always a good thing.
Yeah.
There is. Hold on a second. Oh, jeez. I'm getting some comments coming in, and we actually do have a question coming in from Axel Live here. Ask her if she's aware of drivers manipulating tracking locations.
Yeah.
Is that plausible?
So I know for like if it's about the MyCarrierPortal part, I do know that they've had to update spoofing information, spoofing detection or whatever, and they're actually having to update stuff. I mean, nonstop. They're coming out with new ways. So I know this is like on the forefront, especially on that part of it. And then as far as our tracking location part, we do it as geolocation, which is a lot more accurate. If they deny their geolocation as IP, then that's kind of a whole nother ball ground. That's part of our training too. If you see they're trying to only show you IP information, be on alert. So that's one thing with MCP we do, where make sure it's a geolocation that's a lot more accurate. Like so you can see them in the door. But with MyCarrierPortal, yeah, they're definitely aware of people trying to manipulating, and they've came a long ways. I want to say it was the beginning of 2024 when Fraud Guard started, that they really started that whole process. And I just had a meeting. It was the week before last on their new updates on the spoof data. I mean, it's insane what they can find out now. So, yeah, coming a long ways, working on it.
Now, when I go to Matt's and see you there, I'd love to see a demo as to how that works. That'd be really freaking cool. I've always kind of wondered what the background of that was. And if you're allowed to, we might even make a show of it while we're there.
Yeah,
I've got a booth.
I'll ask. I'm not sure.
You get with your PR people. I'll get with the network. We'll sort all that stuff out. But
I'm
thank
sure
you.
There's stuff I can show.
Thanks for the question, Axel. Really do appreciate it, buddy. So, I mean, so many great things coming out with MCP. I'm glad we actually had the chance to break down all the stuff that MCP is up to. Is there any information you're able to share with us about upcoming integrations and features?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I'll talk about MyCarrierPortal for sure, because that's a lot of new stuff. So two things you'll be able to see. First is going to be version 1 is if you're a MyCarrierPortal customer and MyCarrierPortal customer, you'll kind of get first dibs on all the newest and greatest views. So you'll be able to see this driver has tracked X amount of times, or this driver's been requested to track X amount of times within whatever dates. Then it will show their tracking percentage. How many times out of those times have they actually tracked? And then breaking it down to where, as they've been on tracking, how long, like, did they stay on tracking the whole time, or did they come off, 5 minutes in after they got a pickup number? So seeing a full view on that'll be on the carrier side. And then whenever you're doing the VIN verification and getting that driver info in there, you'll also be able to pull some info on the driver side. The driver side is going to be coming a little bit later, but the carrier side is coming very soon. So that's super exciting. Like, to me, if you're seeing a carrier that's never tracked on MyCarrierPortal ever, to me, that's a red flag. Like you said, MyCarrierPortal, many people have they are the largest visibility tool out there, and they've been around forever. So if they've never tracked, that's a red flag. So that's coming. Another one that's really exciting is we're having a new integration with the tool that has, I won't say the name just because it's still in the works, but a tool that's actually capturing pictures of trucks so that they're able to verify, hey, this guy that's on the road that's in my network, he travels from A to B. We actually have visible proof of the photo of them going back and forth to those locations, so you can try to find new capacity, and then tying that into, hey, this guy is tracking from A to B, did we actually find a visual picture of them as well? So that's hopefully coming within this next year or so. Hopefully by the end of 2025 we'll have all those integration points done, so we'll see.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think. I'm not positive, but I think. Anyway, we'll see if I can't get some more information out of you when we get to Mets. That's neither here nor there. That is really cool. There's okay. Hold on a sec. JB Rhodes has got a little question for you. How many red flags do you need? I'm guessing that means before MCP thinks the individual is a threat.
Good question. So we do it off points system. So we have low, medium, review, and failed are 4 different points. So we go off points. 150 is low, 250 is medium, 1,000 is review, 10,000 is fail. So to fail and have 10,000 points, honestly, you have red flags everywhere. Or it could just be that you're completely out of service on DOT, or you've been marked for double brokering multiple times. It's also up to the customer. Like, they can put different parameters in based on their standards. So it kind of depends, but on our industry standard, typically if you're like a complete no, that's your DOT's inactive, you've been marked multiple times for fraud or double brokering or something like that. Those are like the big no-nos. As far as having a red flag for review, like, hey, I need to look into this guy's further. Like I said, each customer is a little bit different, but industry standard, it could be where you have your DOT has a broker MC active and a carrier MC active. Doesn't mean you're a bad guy. It just means I need to verify that you actually have it. You're using your asset truck. So that verification is where, that comes in. So hopefully that helps. I don't know. There's a lot of different things.
Okay. So here's what we need to do. Okay. We're starting to wind down the hour. One of the things that I'd like to pitch to you for the end of March when we go to Matt's, we need to do an AMA and ask me anything. I think we'll just get you and I at the table, and we'll just go ahead and we'll open it up on LinkedIn, Reddit, and YouTube, and we'll just see what comes around and see what kind of questions we get. Because I got a feeling if we did an AMA there, it could get kind of interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, that would be interesting. It's too bad we can't bet who's asking questions, but that's okay.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's the fun part, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so any final words about MCP? Hold on a sec. Wait a minute here. Hold on. Axel's jumping in again. Tell us some differences between trucker tools, tracking, and MacroPoint. Oh, he wants a direct comparison. Are you prepared to do that today, or do you want to hold off for another time? I'm not going to force you into this one. So
to be very honest, I've never used trucker tools personally. Like, I don't really have anything bad to say about them. They're one of our partners on MyCarrierPortal. So I've never personally used them. I've only personally used MacroPoint as a broker. And then now, of course, I'm selling it. But the biggest things I know with MacroPoint is their network and their amount of ELDs that they're integrated with. Because that's kind of the steps that MacroPoint's taking, is where we want tracking based on ELDs, not just an app. A lot more accurate, a lot less likely to spoof, things like that. Less likely to hide things is through the ELD info. So they have the largest ELD integration network out there. I think there are like 340 ELDs companies, it's insane that there's even that many ELD companies. But so that they're working on all the time. I think that's really where they really stand out, is that, and just their network of customers. All that data is being shared together, so you're getting a really good idea on that carrier, especially whenever you're pulling in MCP data. So that's my 2 cents. But I love everybody. Yeah.
We're getting a lot of questions today. This is awesome. Does MCP have any tools or considerations for cross-border trucking?
Great question. I'm working on that. Currently, if they have a DOT number, no matter where they're based out of, yes, you can be completely pulled into MCP's network. Like, you're able to onboard, you're getting vetted. As far as like if you're just like for instance, like a Canadian only carrier, right now, no. That's something we're working on. The hardest part is Canada, for instance, they do not have a database like FMCSA. There's this East Providence. They only update through Excel sheets, and they only update that like every 2 months. Really, it's very difficult to have accurate information from the Canadian side. So it's not like FMCSA. So that's our biggest thing is we can maybe get it to where you can set up a carrier like that, but monitoring them is like a logistical nightmare. So that's what we're working on. Good question.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Thank you for the questions, everybody. I really do appreciate it, but we do need to start wrapping this up. Any final thoughts, Danielle?
Final thoughts. I'm excited for Matt's. So if you guys are going to Matt's, come find me. I'm going to be my whole thing. I think I'm going to have like a little board that says like, who's your favorite onboarding? And getting Italian that. No, I really, the whole reason why I'm there though is to find out more from drivers. What's your input? What do you think we could do better on? What would make life easier for you on MyCarrierPortal and on MyCarrierPortal? So find me at Matt's if you're there. I'll also be at Broker Carrier Summit coming up, and that's kind of I guess my only things I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kate, you got anything?
Yes. Truck Stop now has a filter so that you can filter by broker authority requirements. So if your MC is only 30 days old, you can click the authority filter that's now with all of your filter by items. You click on authority and you can type in how old your authority is, typically 30, 60, 90 days, 180 days. But that broker has to have their requirements listed in Truck Stop. So if they don't have those requirements listed in there, you're just going to miss a whole bunch of stuff.
I have to give our network a little bit of props here because both the lounge and Stop the Scam, we are going to be at the Freight Ninja booth. And of course, I think Danielle is going to be joining us for quite a bit of time. So it's going to be fun. So by all means, please check us out. We will be at the Freight Ninja booth for Matt's. Before we finally close things off, though, we do need to go ahead and show a little bit of love to our sponsors over at AccuBid Pro.
Do you know your cost per mile? Have you been hitting your profit margins? Do you struggle with bidding in a way that is both profitable and competitive? Would it be worth it to have all this information right in front of you? By calculating your cost per mile, AccuBid Pro helps you stay profitable in an industry still struggling to recover. In order to calculate your cost per mile, AccuBid Pro asks you questions about your business expenses. Our goal is to help you understand what you need to keep operating in order to keep up with the game and maintain your business. Enter your origin and destination, and we show you what you should bid based on your personal cost per mile in order to be profitable, even including a more detailed breakdown of each bid. Download the app today and get your 30-day free trial of AccuBid Pro, available on the App Store and Google Play. Bid smarter, bid faster, bid better with AccuBid Pro.
Always remember that Stop the Scam airs live Mondays, 5 p.m. Central Time on all the Lounge Media Group social media outlets. Please like and subscribe to us so you can stay up to speed with all of our content. If you ever need to get a hold of Kate or myself for whatever issues, like if you need to lease onto a carrier and you want a carrier you can trust, hit Kate, Heartland Freight Group. Boy, I tongue twister for a second there. You can always get Kate at kprice@stopthescampodcast.com. You got fraud issues, hit me up. I'm at jcantera@stopthescampodcast.com. Be sure to look out for our Freight Fraud Task Force. Lots of more information coming out on that over the course of the next couple of months. It is a growing process, so be patient, but we will be releasing information on a very regular basis as things come up. Folks, another round of snowstorms blowing across the country, so stay safe out there, and whatever you do, Don't let scammers take you for a ride. We'll catch you next time. Have a good week.